It's a wild world out there, but some worlds are even wilder. Hi, my name is Tyler Hapney, and you're listening to Dungeons and Dystopias. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Dungeons and Dystopias. I am your game master and host, Tyler Hapney. I run hundreds of sessions to Cyberpunk RED and Dungeons and Dragons, and this podcast is a way for me to reconcile my thoughts of both of those systems. Today, we're going to be talking a bit more about Cyberpunk RED, and last week I mentioned that maybe we'll have some new Cyberpunk content by this episode, and technically we do. It's not the Night City book, so unfortunately we're not going to be talking about that, but it is a brand new mission made specifically for the Solo Fortune stuff. So, some high-level mission here, and it really is a high-level mission because this mission doesn't take place in Night City at all. In fact, it takes place in a completely different country, of which we are now actually starting to learn some lore for. I don't know if there was a ton of lore for this particular country before this screamsheet mission was really released, but now we do know at least a little bit. What country am I talking about? Well, this mission, titled Seeing Double, it takes place in North Korea, but it's a cyberpunk version of North Korea, so it's not the North Korea we know. This is a very different North Korea that has been split up into many different sort of fiefdoms and little kingdoms and areas around North Korea. Because there was, I'll just read the little info blurb here. During the Fourth Corporate War, United Korea fell apart. The North, drawn in by promises from Arasaka, broke away from the South and joined the war on the side of the Japanese. In the aftermath, the new North Korea broke down into fiefdoms, ruled by warlords, domestic or foreign, capable of holding territory by force of personality or force of arms. So, I mean, to use a 2077 reference, Dogtown. North Korea is just full of dog towns everywhere. Most of North Korea's fiefdoms are isolated in trade with various criminal organizations and nomad groups, but have little official or diplomatic contact with other nations. So yeah, it's basically Dogtown. They've got just a bunch of that, and specifically the fiefdom we're going to be looking at for this mission is one called New Britistan. You might be able to guess what New Britistan's kind of thing is, but if you couldn't, it's supposed to be like Britain. He's run by this guy named Grant Barlow, who's originally from the UK, and he has lovingly modeled his area around the UK. It's crazy. You've got bobbies, which are basically just the local police force, Australian mercenaries, which are higher than police force, and then you have, of course, the sort of target of this mission. What is this mission? I don't think I mentioned that. It's an assassination gig. That's the idea. You're going in there, and you are eliminating a fixer who is within the local government. This guy's name is Namsak Vajajiva. I'm just gonna call him Namsak. He's there. I mean, he's got a lot of connections on this island. In particular, it seems he's just about connected to everybody, and pretty much everywhere. I mean, he doesn't go everywhere. There's places like the Pit Mine that he doesn't visit, or Lowtown, which is like a company town within the borders of New Britistan. So New Britistan. Well, let's kind of talk a bit about this mission, right? And I guess the area around New Britistan. So I mentioned it's an assassination mission, but the problem being that this guy seems pretty difficult to assassinate. I'm not gonna lie. The amount of mercenaries this guy has around him and bobbies at any typical time it's pretty good. It's pretty insane. He's got a lot of support. Not only that, but bro has a body double, like an exact body double that does a really good job of pretending he's the other guy. It's like a DV-17 human perception check to even tell if the guy is the right guy. So, that's already getting up to something fun. But then you also have to deal with some of the other wrenches sort of that they've thrown into the plan here. And one thing I do like about this mission, just kind of going off on a tangent, there isn't really a specific way in which you need to do this mission. They give you like 4 or 5 different ways, and they're like, all right, what do your players figure out? And then, yeah, I mean, there's no specific order of operations that you're supposed to follow. You're supposed to just use your brain and figure out a plan, which I like. I do like that sort of design on missions. I know a lot of missions do kind of have a sort of kind of a layout to them. You know, it's sort of a here's what you do, here's what you do, here's what you do, here's where you go next. Yeah. This one seems very freeform, and I think that's good for these types of missions. The solo fortune stuff. Because like if you're doing solo fortune stuff, you're gonna wanna you got a lot of stuff going on at once, usually. Alright, so when they attack Namsack is a 50-50 chance that they're actually attacking the body double. So, could be you take out the guy, could be you don't, and you just took out his freaking body double and you just killed an innocent dude. Which does come with humanity loss. So that's great. Other than that, we also have a pretty big threat in the security chief. The security chief, his name is Nightshade. He is a solo, and he is currently just a couple steps away from going cyber psycho. Yeah, that seems like fun. Not only that, but apparently he's being actually lied to about his therapy and what he's doing to try and stave off his cyberpsychosis. He's a gambler, so he is in debt. He can't get rid of his cyberware because he's in debt for gambling to Grant Barlow, of course. And then Grant apparently is feeding him, like, they're giving him placebo. Essentially, his cyberpsychosis medication isn't even for cyberpsychosis. It's just regular old saline. You didn't hear that from me, though, of course. And then there is, of course, always Bobbies around Nelson. It's like, I don't know, like six of them. I know it says later there's a military base on the island, or not on the island. It's not an island. It's I guess a free territory. But there's a military base there, and when he's on the base, you're never going to guess what Mr. Namsack is surrounded by. 30 to 50 trained mercenaries. That's insane. Absolutely the worst idea to try and take him out there because, that's 30 to 50 guys. That's so many people. That's gonna be so hard to get out of. But I guess it's somewhere to watch him from, I guess. I don't know. Fun fact about the military base. You can, in fact, sneak in and find an armory, and you're never going to get that. You can find weapons, armored ground vehicles in the base's armory. So if you're really looking to go crazy wild with what you're planning on doing, well, there you go. And speaking of Mr. Barlow, I hasn't been mentioned yet, but he is not present during this mission. The whole point is that he's on vacation. And we have to take this guy out while he's on vacation, or else he'll come back and security is just going to triple again and everything's going to be hard to do. So, you've got this window to take out this fixer in New Britistan who's guarded by a bunch of mercenaries and bobbies. He has a body double. He has a security chief that is constantly on the edge of cyberpsychosis that is also always surrounded by a gaggle of guards. So yeah, there's a lot to this mission that could actually make it a little tough, especially considering, and here's the kicker, in order to get in, you can't have light armor jack on. You can only have leather or Kevlar armor because the truck only has room for people wearing leather or Kevlar. For gear, you can only carry 1 concealed weapon each and a total of 10 pieces of additional gear between your party. Minus 1 item per crew member with a body of 10 or higher. So if you have someone with a, linear frame, you're actually losing out on gear you can take into this mission. And And once again, there's no light armor jack. So you either have to find it yourself or make do with poopy ass Kevlar armor. And yeah, you're also expected to assassinate a high level fixer who's constantly surrounded by a ton of people and potentially 30 to 50 guys. And preferably you're only just killing him. It's like, oh wow. Yeah, it is high level. It definitely is. But that's what makes it so interesting. If you're wondering what the actual payment for this mission is, it's about 9,000 euro dollars per person. And then you get a little bit of a bonus to spend on some gear that you have to give back at the end. Great stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I will say, there are always certain areas of the territory in which Namsak will go to. However, all of them have very specific sort of things that you can do there. Like, for instance, if you happen to want to go to the golf course that this guy goes to all the time and is on the mission image, you would want to go to the Trauma Team East Asia Executive Retreat Club, in which Mr. Knapsack loves to take to the holes. But hey, guess what? He's got that body double, and that body double is worse at golf than he is. So if you're watching him play golf, you can actually figure out who the body double is by who sucks more at golf, which is great. There will also, of course, be the fact that our bodyguard here does have a once a week day-long IV drip that he has to do, which does leave him unable to guard our guy. And during that time, he does not go golfing. He goes to a very specific location elsewhere on the territory or whatever. So you have to, as a game master, be constantly aware of the schedules of 3 separate people. You have to be aware of Namsak's schedule. You have to be aware of the security captain's schedule, and you have to be aware of where the body double is, because your players could completely wind up going for the wrong guy. They might have to wind up killing 2 Namsaks instead of 1 because they weren't, thorough enough. There's a lot of things that could be interesting here. And of course, during all of this, that you do have a sincere, actual chance of just biffing it really, really hard. And during that time, guess what? The alarm is going to go off. And that makes escaping so much harder. Because before, if you're escaping, in stealth and no one knows you're there, you just get back in the truck and leave. It's that easy. But if the alarm goes off, well, now everyone knows you're here. Everyone's out looking for you. There's at least 2 or 3 cars armed with 6 guys each, all mercenaries. So, they have assault rifles and probably some higher level armor. And they're out searching for you. They don't go past the border of New Britistan, which is good. So all you have to do is make it past the border. But once you're past the border, guess what? You don't have a way back home. Because, if everything's gone crazy and all the alarms have gone off, your contacts have essentially left you there. So that gives you multiple options as to where you want to go. And let me tell you, all of these options are rough. None of them are like, this is the obvious one. No, you're stuck going south, east, or west, and all of them lead to other territories, hot zones, war zones, into areas that are ruled by, other warlords who don't like Mr. Barlow that much. So, you might have to convince them that actually you're defectors and you're not really, people from New Britistan or mercenaries or whatever. And it just becomes a whole can of beans to even get out of the Koreas during all of this business. So, at the end of the day, it is in your best interest to pop this guy in the most subtle way you can, and then GTFO, which is a lot easier said than done. especially in Cyberpunk, and especially when you're considering a mission that has to deal with body doubles, cyber psychotic security chiefs, and one large golf course. So I mean, could a lot of crazy stuff can happen there. And they give you the layout for if things go wrong or if things stay swimmingly well and your players do manage to take out the target without alerting everybody in North Korea to your presence, which is, a thing that will probably happen to most people who do this mission. I'm not even gonna lie. This is a tough one, but it's meant to be tough. It's Solo of Fortune. And for that's why we're here to talk about it. I personally, obviously, probably should have mentioned, spoiler alert at the start of this thing. But I feel like if you clicked on this, you already knew. You already knew. Come on. All right. So let's talk about our metaphorical monster of the week. And I've already talked about Tansen. This would be a perfect episode for Tansen because they're Korean. But we've already talked about them. So who do you want to talk about? Well, you know what? Hey, we know enough about this Mr. Barlow guy to kind of go out on a couple of limbs here and pretty much assume that we can tell what this guy's about. So Mr. Barlow is obviously a very wealthy guy from the UK. He is in charge of a mining colony, which is New Britistan, is the mining colony that strip mines a mountain called Mount Myohyangsan. Not good at pronunciations, but he gets the rare earth metals and sells them on the black market, usually to nomads or to criminals. So once again, going back, we don't really deal with governments in North Korea. We are dealing mostly with nomad clans and criminals, which, yep, that's how we make our money. Obviously, we mentioned Barlow has a Australian mercenary force, and then Bobbies, who are the more local kind of talent that are put into these sort of outfits. It's hard to describe them, but, if you look at the art for the mission, you check it out, you will see they do have art of the Bobbies on there somewhere. Yeah, it's the first opener thing. They're right by the hole. And then presumably you've got your security chief there. Or maybe it's a mercenary. I don't know. But yeah, Mr. Barlow. Very British, one can assume. By the way, he's got everything kind of set up. This guy, if I were to play Mr. Barlow, who, once again, is not involved in this mission at all, I'd probably make him really British. I'd give him like a little bowler hat, a monocle, and I'd make him look like the Monopoly guy. At least that's what I would do, because this guy screams to me like someone who is very, very British. But yeah, man. Cool thing about Mr. Barlow and New Britistan, if you have a government badge on you, you can pretty much just kill anybody that doesn't have a government badge on you. It's completely legal. So isn't that fun? Isn't that just fun on a bus, really? So that's another thing you're gonna have to worry about during this mission, is the fact that anyone with a government badge can do whatever they want to you. And that's all because of Mr. Barlow, who is currently on vacation. So he'll be back soon, but once again, we don't really know enough about Mr. Barlow to even know what he looks like or anything like that. But yeah, no, he's the guy in charge here. He is a bit of a monster, I would say. Because considering what he's done to this region, the things he's done to these people, yeah, he's a dictator, bro. He's a British ass dictator. He probably eats fish and chips in the morning and then goes out and does some crazy stuff on New Britistan, which, by the way, what an amazing name. New Britistan. I gotta use this guy more often. But gotta find an excuse to have North Korea in my games, which for the most part take place in night cities, so it's a little hard But I mean, hey, Night City brings together all sorts of people. Maybe you could have a contingency from Mr. New British Stan come into Night City for like a deal or something. If you wanted to kind of continue this storyline, but not necessarily have your players return to North Korea all the time. You could obviously have representatives of Barlow come in and try and cause some shit. You never know. But yeah, I mean, that's Mr. Barlow. He's a cool guy, and by cool, I mean we don't know too much about him. He's not in this mission at all, but you know, he is involved. He is a player in the politics of the cyberpunk world, and that's why he's our metaphorical monster of this week. All right, that'll be it for us today. Next week, we're going to go back to Dungeons & Dragons a bit, probably. Unless the new Night City book comes out by then. Then I'll probably do an episode on that. Keep posted, keep your eyes out, and we'll see what happens. Until then, though, I've been Tyler Happney. This has been Dungeons & Dystopias. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week.